Okay, in my last video, the first part of this video, I talked about how Daenerys could possibly go mad and may not be the ruler that everyone hopes she's going to be and could end up being more a conqueror. Now we're going to flip it and go to another character who I like and who I believe we all agree could and should be the ruler we need. So I read the video off. And that character is Jon Snow. As we've recently found out, spoiler alert, just want you to know again in case you didn't get it before. I count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jon is half Targaryen, half Stark. He is as we know right now, the son of Lyanna and more, and let's be fair, pretty much is also the son of Rhaegar Targaryen. Now this brings up a lot of interesting things. First of all, it means Jon is even more awesome than he already was. Second, it answers a theory that everyone's been dying to know for years, especially book readers who read the books way back when they first came out. I mean, the amount of years you had to wait for confirmation. Still, I love the scene itself. I love the transition from the baby to Jon's face. That's one quick thing I wanted to mention. I thought it was awesome. Anyway, why am I discussing Jon? Because he's a very important part of why I believe Jorah will betray Daenerys. But before that, let's talk about Jon. Jon. Here's the thing about Jon. Daenerys, as we've seen, she always wants power. She wants and demands it. Jon never wants power, but he's always somehow voted or put in this position of power or lead or put into a position where he has to lead people. He doesn't want it, but he's willing to step up to it when people tell him they want him to lead them. And that's the key difference between Daenerys. As we saw in the last episode of season 6 with the King of the North, Jon inspires his people. Daenerys intimidates. I'm not saying Daenerys is evil or a bad person, but it's just the way it is. Look at Daenerys' history. Most of the time, every time she walks into a room with new people, she has to say her title, or someone says her title. I am Daenerys, Stormborn, Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains, and all that. Like she's some form of deity, a god, something greater than ourselves. And it's used as a form of intimidation because you're giving her all these titles that makes her seem more important, bigger than she actually is, larger than life. While Jon, on the other hand, is Jon Snow. He never claims to be anything else. All he's ever been called, pretty much the closest thing you can claim is that he's been called bastard. Of course, now he's called White Wolf, but it took a while to get there. But that's the thing, he never wanted it. He never cared more. All he wanted was to bring honour to himself, to his family. Daenerys wants power and she demands it. She keeps saying, I will cross the narrow sea and take back what is rightfully mine. Here's the thing. The thing about Daenerys and Jon is, right, they have a lot of similarities. Jon and Daenerys both, they both do make good leaders, just different type of leaders. They both started from none and built their way up into high command, into great leaders. And they both started off life not great in the position they were in. Difference is that Jon took it in his stride and fought his way to become who he is without having to intimidate people. He was he was like nice, kind, calm, patient, compassionate, understanding. Hence, his friendship with Sam and the Wildlings, who were seen as moral enemies to the Night's Watch. He started to see their way of things. And of course, then you have the other side with Daenerys, who she started off compassionate and all that. And while she does have some compassion left, she is a lot more ruthless now. Just wants to get things done. And even with the conversation with Dario, she felt nothing for a man who told her she loved her. It's a big difference, and I think it's a big difference between Jon and Daenerys, because Daenerys has become the kind of more ruthless conqueror, while Jon, I feel like, is the more natural leader. To me, I think Jon is a better fit to be a leader because he never wanted it, but people want him to be. And this is where we start to get the Jorah situation. What I mentioned before about Daenerys. that at one point, no, sorry, about Jon, that he's calm, kind, compassionate, cares about others, nice, has a gentle heart. Daenerys had all these exact qualities as well in the first 2-3 seasons. Jorah himself, the couple of quotes Jorah said to Daenerys in season 2, sometimes I look at you and I still can't believe you're real. A person who could and should rule. Someone like that doesn't come around for generations. And I believe that's why Jorah joined her, stayed with her up till now, because first of all, he fell in love with her. We can clearly say he fell in love with her for those qualities, and as well because there was no one else better than her to rule. See, despite her rudeness, she still had that kind heart. Thing is, little did Jorah know, there was another. Far up north, Jon Snow, someone no one expected. And now, this is where things get really interesting. Why I believe Jorah will betray Daenerys. Jorah is currently known. Daenerys sent away to look for a cure for grayscale. I feel like recently there have, I believe today there was news that Jorah was spotted on a flight to, I believe it's Northern Ireland or something like that. Northern Ireland, I believe. And he was reading the script on the plane. Now this doesn't mean Game of Thrones, but more likely it is. But I believe Jorah could be somewhere in Westeros. I believe eventually he will get to Westeros. And I don't know how, I haven't gone through like the exact details, but I'd like to think that at one point Jorah may meet up with Jon. Maybe Jon's army, Daenerys will meet and negotiate, something like that. Maybe they'll fight, like I said in one of my other videos. But I think Jorah will meet Jon at one point. I fully believe Jorah will cure himself. If that's the case, I think Jorah will see that Jon shares a lot of the same qualities as Daenerys. And if Jon knows who he is, and Jorah finds out that he's half Targaryen, I feel like Jorah will see that Jon is a ruler who could and should lead, just like Daenerys. Here's the thing though. Here's the thing. In Westeros, Jon has the better claim to the throne than Daenerys does. Because Daenerys is a Targaryen. She is. She is a... Well, as we know, she is a full Targaryen. Here's the thing though. Jon is half Targaryen. Now I may be wrong with this, but he's half Targaryen, and honestly, in Westeros, I believe like men usually are ahead of women in that world for rule. And I believe Jon could have the better claim to the throne than Daenerys. And if that is the case, here's the thing. Daenerys doesn't seem like someone who wants to share rule, especially the way she's been now. It's all about, I am the breaker of chains, mother dragon. She believes she should be the ruler. And she did say she's willing to get married, but here's the thing. As we've seen, she's willing to get married to men who can't overrule her or have a weaker resolve than she does. Like that slave, like that master she married in season 5. So, Jon Snow, he's not the type to... basically, if they ever got married, Jon would be king and he'd be the one with the power, especially in the world of Westeros. Thing is, that I can't see Daenerys being someone who would want to share that rule, or someone who would be willing to give up her power to Jon Snow. And the same thing, I can't see Jon Snow being someone who would back down from Daenerys if she tried to rule herself, and especially with some of the ways she rules a bit harshly. So that creates another interesting dynamic, and that's why I fully believe that Jon and Daenerys will have some conflict. I think Jon will want to do what's best for the people, but Daenerys will see all this injustice and stuff. And honestly, it's going to be a big mess. It's going to be a mess, but it's going to be very interesting in the last 2 seasons to see the political intrigue. You see how things work out. How Jon and Daenerys manage each other. And I believe that is it for this video. I've gone over why Daenerys could go mad. I've gone over why Jon could be a good choice of ruler, and how him and Daenerys could have conflict with each other. And I also said how Jorah could see Jon the way he used to see Daenerys. Now, I believe that I'll be making a third and final video, hopefully. And I hope I got my point across well enough. I know I'm not as detailed as all some other Game of Thrones YouTubers, but I try to do what I can. So I hope you enjoyed, and if you're watching so far, please wait for the next video. It's coming very soon. And I will finally tell you why I believe Jorah will betray Daenerys, although you can kind of gather it now, and why I also believe the big one, why he could indeed be the prince that was promised.